Imagine a world where your laundry basket is a legal liability and your favorite pair of baggy jeans could land you in a jail cell. We like to think fashion is about self-expression, but historically, governments have been obsessed with what's in your closet. From banned colors to illegal accessories, we're counting down 50 of the most absurd, nonsensical, and downright hilarious clothing laws that actually exist. Prepare to realize your outfit might be a felony. 1. If you're planning a romantic walk through the Parthenon in Athens, leave the stilettos at home. Since 2009, Greece has strictly banned high heels at historic sites. Why? Because the pressure of a sharp heel on ancient marble is like a tiny, high-velocity jackhammer, and the government decided that preserving 5,000 years of human history is far more important than your vacation aesthetic. It's one of the few places where being a fashion victim is literally a crime against civilization itself. Don't risk a fine for a photo. Just wear sneakers and keep the pillars standing. 2. In Minnesota, it is technically illegal for a business owner to leave a naked mannequin in a shop window. According to this bizarre rule, if you're changing the display, you must cover the plastic figure immediately to avoid offending the public. It treats a headless piece of plastic as if it were a real person needing privacy. Imagine the police raiding a boutique because a mannequin's dress was being swapped out too slowly. Do you think a plastic statue without a soul can really be indecent? Or is this just the ultimate example of over-the-top moral policing? 3. Dressing like a soldier in Barbados is a great way to end up in the back of a police cruiser. It is strictly illegal for anyone not in the military to wear camouflage patterns, regardless of the color or style. This isn't about looking cool, it's about preventing confusion during national emergencies or civil unrest. If you show up in a camo bikini, the police won't admire your rugged aesthetic. They'll give you a court date and a steep fine. Do you think a pattern designed to make you invisible should be enough to land you in a jail cell for the night? 4. In the town of Blythe, California, an old ordinance reportedly states that you are not legally allowed to wear cowboy boots unless you actually own at least 2 cows. This was likely an attempt to stop city slickers from pretending to be rugged ranchers when they'd never even seen a pasture. It turns a footwear choice into a property requirement. It's the ultimate gatekeeping of a subculture, turned into a literal law. If the police demanded to see your livestock registration before you could put on your boots, would you buy the cows or change your style? 5. In Victoria, Australia, you used to be legally barred from wearing pink hot pants in public on Sunday afternoons. This bizarre relic of the past was part of a series of decency laws meant to keep the Sabbath respectable and serious. While the law isn't aggressively enforced by a specialized pink police squad today, it remains on the books as a hilarious reminder that someone, somewhere, was once deeply offended by bright fuchsia loungewear. Imagine getting a ticket just because your shorts were too colorful for a Sunday brunch. It's pure administrative madness. 6. If you're a man in Iran, don't bother packing a designer silk necktie for your next business trip. Since the 1979 revolution, ties have been officially viewed by the authorities as a symbol of decadent Western culture and the sign of the cross. While you won't necessarily be dragged off to a dark dungeon for wearing one, you won't find them in local shops, and government officials are strictly forbidden from sporting the satanic silk noose. It's a world where a piece of neckwear is treated like a political manifesto that could ruin your entire career. 7. Back in ancient Rome, wearing purple wasn't just a bold choice. It was often a death sentence. The color was created using the mucus of thousands of tiny sea snails, making it more expensive than literal gold. To keep the peasants in their place, emperors passed sumptuary laws declaring that only the imperial family could wear Tyrian purple. If a commoner was caught in a violet toga, they were seen as trying to steal the throne through fashion. It was a who wore it better contest where the loser ended up executed for treason. Imagine dying over a color palette. 8. If you're visiting Haddonfield, New Jersey, don't even think about wearing a mask in public on any day except Halloween. This law was originally passed to prevent criminals from hiding their identities. but it effectively bans anyone from having costume fun for 364 days of the year. If you want to wear a Spider-Man mask for a birthday party in June, you are technically a criminal. It's a law that treats a piece of plastic like the tool of a conspiracy. Do you think the safety of seeing everyone's face is worth sacrificing the joy of a midsummer costume party? 9. Denmark takes the concept of the man behind the mask quite seriously. Since 2018, it has been illegal to wear anything that hides your face in public spaces. This includes balaclavas, masks, and even fake beards that obscure your features. While the law was aimed at religious veils, it's written so broadly that a particularly bushy Santa Claus disguise or a heavy winter scarf could technically get you a fine. It's a law that basically mandates total transparency, meaning you must be recognizable at all times, regardless of the freezing weather. 10. North Korea has a very specific list of approved haircuts, but their clothing rules are even more terrifying. Blue jeans are completely banned because they are seen as a symbol of American imperialism and capitalist corruption. If you want to wear denim, it better be black or gray, and it definitely shouldn't be ripped or baggy. Wearing a pair of Levi's in Pyongyang is essentially wearing a political protest on your legs. And the fashion police there don't give out warnings. They give out hard labor. It's fashion police in the most literal and scary sense. 11. In 2011, the Swiss canton of Appenzell officially banned hiking in the nude. This wasn't some ancient religious decree. It was a direct response to a sudden influx of nature enthusiasts who decided clothes were entirely optional on the alpine trails. Locals grew tired of seeing more than just the mountain scenery during their morning strolls. Violators now face a hefty fine for breach of public decency. Does the government have the right to mandate clothes in the middle of the wilderness, or should nature truly be free? 12. Oklahoma takes its bedtime hygiene very seriously. It is technically illegal to sleep in a bed while wearing boots. This law was likely passed to prevent damage to expensive linens and to stop people from tracking mud into their sleeping quarters. Imagine a world where the police could theoretically kick down your door just to check if your footwear is off before you hit the hay. It's the ultimate mom rule turned into a state mandate. Honestly, if you're tired enough to sleep in your boots, do you really care about a potential citation from the fashion police? 13. In 2011, the Malaysian government made it illegal to wear yellow clothing. This wasn't because the color was out of season. It was the official color of a massive protest movement calling for electoral reform. For a period, even owning a yellow t-shirt could get you detained for questioning by the authorities. Imagine a world where your favorite mustard-colored hoodie is considered a tool of political subversion. Is it terrifying or just plain hilarious that a government can be so intimidated by a specific shade on the color wheel? 14. Since the year 1313, it has been strictly illegal to enter the British Houses of Parliament wearing a full suit of armor. King Edward II passed this law to stop noblemen from settling their political debates with broadswords instead of words. While modern politicians generally prefer shouting and insults over dueling, the law is still technically in effect today. This means if you decide to cosplay as a medieval knight for your tour of Westminster, you'll be stopped at the door. It's a great reminder that British politics used to be way more Game of Thrones. 15. In Massachusetts, you once needed a specialized license just to wear a goatee in public. This wasn't a hipster tax. It was a bizarre 19th century attempt to control the radical appearance of its citizens. If you sported that specific patch of chin hair without your official permit, you were legally an outlaw. Imagine a cop pulling you over not for speeding, but because your facial hair lacked the proper paperwork. It's a hilarious peek into a time when the state acted as the ultimate judge and jury of your personal grooming habits. 16. In many parts of the United Arab Emirates, cross-dressing is a serious criminal offense that can lead to deportation or jail time. The law is often interpreted broadly, meaning men wearing what are deemed feminine accessories or clothing can face harsh consequences. For Western travelers, this can be a legal minefield of cultural misunderstandings. It's a stark reminder that while the malls in Dubai look futuristic, The dress codes are rooted in very traditional, strictly enforced social norms. Would you travel to a country where your fashion identity could lead to a prison cell? 17. In 16th century Venice, the government passed a law banning anyone from wearing overly distracting jewelry that might provoke envy. They employed jewelry inspectors, who could stop you on the street to check the size of your gold chains and the weight of your rings. If you were too shiny, you were fined and your accessories were often confiscated for the state treasury. It was a literal tax on being too stylish. Imagine a cop pulling you over because your necklace was reflecting too much sunlight. Would you hide your diamonds just to avoid the envy police? 18. If you're strolling through the streets of Florence or Paris with a knockoff designer handbag, you're not just a fashion victim, you're a criminal. Both Italy and France have incredibly strict laws against carrying counterfeit goods. Undercover officers can actually stop you, seize your fake bag, and hand you a fine that costs way more than the real version of the purse would have. They view fakes as a direct attack on their national economy and heritage. It's the ultimate high-stakes fashion choice. Would you risk a €5,000 fine just to look like you're carrying a Chanel? 19. In 17th century Nuremberg, Germany, the button law dictated exactly how many buttons a man could have on his coat based on his social rank. If a simple merchant dared to sew on extra silver buttons, he was prosecuted for impersonating the nobility. This level of micromanagement makes modern dress codes look like total anarchy. Imagine getting a court summons because your jacket had 6 buttons instead of 4. Should the government really be the ultimate judge of your coat's accessories, or is this just an absurd way to enforce an elitist class system? 20. Heading to Sunday service in Alabama. Make sure your facial hair is authentic. It's technically illegal to wear a fake mustache in church if it causes laughter. This implies a realistic fake is fine, but the moment someone giggles at your plastic lip wig, you've become a criminal. It's the ultimate buzzkill for anyone trying to spice up a sermon with Groucho Marx energy. Why the government felt the need to regulate the comedic timing of facial accessories during prayer is truly a mystery for the ages. 21. In Providence, Rhode Island, it is technically illegal to wear transparent clothing in public. While that sounds like common sense for a decency law, the legal language is so broad it could technically include a sheer raincoat or a mesh gym bag. It's a classic case of lawmakers trying to stop public nudity, but accidentally banning the latest runway trends from Milan. If you were caught in a trendy see-through windbreaker during a rainstorm, would you argue it's a fashion statement or just accept the ticket from the style police? 22. For nearly 150 years, the British government mandated that everyone had to be buried in wool. The Burying in Woolen Acts of the 17th century were designed to prop up the struggling domestic wool industry. If your family dared to bury you in a nice silk or linen shirt, they faced a massive fine. It's one of the few times in history where a fashion choice followed you literally to the grave, and the taxman was waiting at the cemetery. Would you be willing to spend eternity in itchy wool just to help the national economy? 23. For a long time, the city of Sumter, South Carolina, decided to wage a legislative war on gravity and style. They passed a law specifically banning saggy pants that expose skin or underwear in public spaces. If your waistband dropped too low, you'd face a fine of up to $600 or multiple hours of community service. It's the ultimate dad move, turned into actual government legislation. It raises a serious question for the fashionistas. At what point does a style choice become a public nuisance that requires a legal intervention? 24. In Wilbur, Washington, an old law once made it illegal to ride an ugly horse while wearing distasteful clothing in public. While beauty is subjective, the local government apparently felt they were the ultimate judges of both equine and human aesthetics. If you and your horse didn't meet visual standards, you could technically be fined just for being on the street. Imagine a cop pulling you over not for a traffic violation, but because your outfit was too offensive to the community's eyes. Who gets to decide what ugly even means in a court of law? It's peak petty legislation. 25. For over 2 centuries, women in Paris were technically forbidden from wearing pants in public without a police permit. This 1800-era law required a medical excuse or proof of horse riding just to justify wearing trousers. While the world's fashion capital ignored it for decades, the rule wasn't officially scrapped until 2013. Imagine style icons like Coco Chanel being technical criminals every time they stepped out in slacks. Do you think archaic laws like this are still secretly hiding in your city's legal books today? 26. The city of Mobile, Alabama once had a very specific ban on women wearing stiletto heels on certain public streets. The reason was surprisingly practical but legally absurd. The city's drainage grates were the perfect size to trap a thin heel, leading to countless broken ankles and even more lawsuits. Instead of fixing the grates, they simply tried to outlaw the shoes. It's a perfect example of a city choosing to ban your fashion choices rather than repairing their own infrastructure. Would you give up your favorite heels or just sue the city for their bad plumbing? 27. In Malaysia, authorities once went on a crusade against heavy metal fashion, specifically banning t-shirts with satanic or morally offensive imagery. This often included anything with skulls, lightning bolts, or even just the logos of famous Western bands like Iron Maiden. To the government, a black t-shirt wasn't just clothing, it was a gateway to social rebellion. It's a chilling reminder that in some parts of the world, your taste in music and your wardrobe can make you a target for state surveillance. Is a banned t-shirt worth being questioned by the police? 28. In Lewis, Delaware, make sure your trousers have wiggle room. An old ordinance once made it illegal to wear form-fitting pants in public. The law aimed to protect modesty by banning anything showing too much of a person's natural silhouette. This made skinny jeans a potential criminal offense long before they were even a trend. It's a bizarre legal attempt to regulate the literal shape of your body through your wardrobe. If tight pants are a crime, should we just arrest every 1980s rock star right now? 29. In 15th century Venice, the government had to step in to stop the madness of Chopin, platform shoes that could reach up to 20 inches in height. Women were literally towering over everyone and needed servants just to help them walk. The Great Council eventually passed a law limiting the height of these shoes because they were considered ridiculous and dangerous. It's one of the few times a law was passed because a fashion trend had quite literally reached a breaking point. Would you wear 20-inch platforms just to be the tallest person in the room? 30. In the 1930s, several towns in New Jersey and New York tried to ban people from wearing pajamas in public. They argued that bedroom attire was destroying the moral dignity of the streets and making the neighborhood look lazy. Police were actually authorized to stop anyone caught in silk robes or flannel pants and send them home to get dressed properly. It's a law that would make most modern work-from-home employees international fugitives. Do you think people should be legally required to dress up for the public, or is your comfort your own business? 31. If you love the rhythmic clack-clack of wooden clogs, stay far away from the island of Capri. Local authorities banned noisy footwear decades ago to preserve the peace and quiet of this luxury destination. Tourists have actually been detained for wearing loud flip-flops or sandals that disturb the tranquil atmosphere. It's a place where the sound of your footsteps can literally result in a police report. It turns out that in high-end Italian tourism, silence isn't just golden. It's a legally mandated requirement for your feet. 32. In San Francisco, you better be careful with your laundry when cleaning your vehicle. There is a bizarre old law that prohibits car owners from using used underwear to buff or dry their cars. While it's a great way to recycle old fabrics, the city apparently felt that the sight of someone scrubbing a fender with a pair of boxers was a bridge too far for public decency. It's a hilarious example of the government regulating your cleaning rags. Do you think the city should be worried about your choice of polishing cloth? Or is this just a massive overreach? 33. In Indiana, an old law once dictated how much skin a man could show before he was considered sexually suggestive in public. Specifically, it was illegal for a man to have more than 3 buttons on his shirt unfastened. This rule was meant to keep daring men from distracting the community with too much chest hair or a deep V-neck. It turns a casual style choice into a legal misdemeanor. Imagine a police officer stopping you just to count the buttons on your favorite shirt. 34. If you're a man in Togo, West Africa, you might want to double-check the local customs before trying out a daring new look. It is reportedly illegal for men to wear skirts in public, as the government views this as a threat to traditional gender norms. While the rest of the world might be experimenting with gender-fluid fashion, Togo keeps it strictly pants-only for the guys. It's a stark reminder that what is considered normal clothing is often dictated by the borders you're standing in. Is a skirt really a threat to society? Or is the law just afraid of a breeze? 35. In St. Albans, Vermont, there is a very specific and truly strange law that makes it illegal for a woman to walk backwards on a sidewalk while wearing a hat. No one is quite sure why this was ever a concern, but it turns a simple, clumsy moment into a legal liability. Perhaps it was meant to prevent collisions with other pedestrians, or maybe someone just really hated the look of a retreating bonnet. Imagine getting a ticket because you forgot your keys and took 2 steps back without turning around. It's a law that makes gracefulness a legal requirement for your wardrobe. 36. In 1784, the British government introduced the hat tax, essentially taxing the space on your head. Every hat sold required a government stamp inside the lining as proof of payment. Wearing a bootleg hat without a stamp led to heavy fines, while forging stamps was a crime punishable by death. This turned your favorite fedora into a high-stakes legal document. Would you actually risk your life just to sport a trendy, untaxed hat? Or is that taking the phrase death and taxes way too literally? 37. In Thailand, you need to keep your shirt on, literally. It is strictly illegal to drive a car, motorcycle, or even a bicycle while being shirtless. Regardless of how hot the tropical sun gets, the government insists that public decency outweighs your desire for a tan while commuting. If you're caught cruising without a top, the police will pull you over and hand you a fine faster than you can say heat stroke. It's a law that treats the male torso like a public hazard. 38. In 1574, Queen Elizabeth I passed the Statute of Apparel, dictating exactly what fabrics and colors people could wear based on their social rank. If you earned less than a specific amount, wearing silk, fur, or crimson was strictly illegal. It was a state-enforced poverty uniform, meant to stop commoners from looking too aristocratic. Imagine a police officer demanding your tax returns before letting you buy a velvet jacket. Does the government have any right to limit your wardrobe based on your income? Or is that just peak elitist micromanagement? 39. In the early 2010s, authorities in Shanghai, China, launched a high-profile campaign to ban residents from wearing pajamas in public. They argued that wearing sleepwear to the grocery store or the park was uncivilized and made the city look bad before the World Expo. Volunteers were even sent out to shame people into going home and changing into real clothes. It's the ultimate nightmare for anyone who loves their flannel pants and cozy robes. Do you think the government should have the right to tell you that your pajamas are a national embarrassment? 40. In the early 1900s, Chicago and Seattle waged a literal war on lethal fashion, the hat pin. Women used these sharp 10-inch rods to secure massive hats, but also to poke mashers or harassers who got too close. Legislators panicked, declaring any hat pin over 9 inches a deadly weapon, and women were actually arrested for having too much structural integrity in their headwear. It's a wild historical moment where a simple accessory became a tool for vigilante justice. If you were a cop back then, would you feel truly threatened by a stylish lady with a needle in her hair? 41. In the 19th century, several British cities banned women from having concealed pockets in their dresses. Officials feared these hidden compartments were being used for shoplifting or smuggling seditious literature. This turned a simple dress's storage capacity into a matter of national security. Imagine being stopped by a constable just so he could check your skirt's lining for extra fabric. Should the government really regulate the number of pockets in your clothes? Or was this just a bizarre, early strike against the concept of female utility? 42. In Thailand, make sure your laundry is done, because it's strictly illegal to leave your house without wearing underwear. Going commando is a legitimate legal offense in the land of smiles. We aren't sure how the police enforce this without incredibly invasive inspections, but the law remains active on the books. It's a strange peek into how far a government will go to regulate the most private parts of your outfit. Honestly, would you prefer a world where the police can check your undergarments? Or is this taking public decency way too far? 43. In the charming town of Carmel by the Sea, California, it is technically illegal to wear heels taller than 2 inches without a permit. Before you panic, this isn't about style. It's a clever legal shield for the city. Because the town's sidewalks are intentionally uneven due to cypress tree roots, they wanted to avoid lawsuits from tripping fashionistas. You can actually get a free permit at City Hall just for the novelty of it. It's a rare case where the fashion police are actually trying to save your ankles instead of judging your soul. 44. In Washington state, an old law makes it illegal to pretend to be the child of wealthy parents by wearing expensive, borrowed clothing to obtain credit. While meant to stop scammers, the wording is so vague it could apply to anyone faking it till they make it with a rented designer suit or a borrowed handbag. It essentially makes being fashionably broke a potential criminal offense. If you've ever worn a nice outfit just to feel more confident in a high-stakes meeting, you might be a technical fraud. Is your suit a lie or a lifestyle? 45. In Fairborn, Ohio, you better keep your shoes on while you're out on the town. A local ordinance makes it illegal to walk around in public wearing only socks. While most people prefer the protection of a sole, the government felt the need to legally mandate shoes over socks for some strange reason. It's the ultimate legal strike against the cozy aesthetic. If you were caught in your most comfortable wool socks without sneakers, would you argue for your right to be comfortable? Or would you just accept that your fashion has officially crossed a legal line? 46. In New Jersey, it's technically illegal to wear a knit cap covering your ears inside public buildings. This ancient rule ensured citizens could always hear fire bells or official commands. It turns a cozy winter accessory into a potential security risk. If you're staying warm during a blizzard, you might be a lawbreaker the moment you enter a library. Should the state really regulate your winter wardrobe for auditory readiness? Or is this just an absurd relic of a paranoid and over-regulated past? 47. In cities like San Francisco, high hat laws once made it a legal offense to wear oversized headwear in theaters. At the time, massive hats decorated with feathers and lace were blocking the view of everyone sitting behind them. Instead of relying on simple manners, the government made it a crime to keep your hat on during a performance. It turned a lack of etiquette into a court-ordered fine. It's a hilariously petty example of the state acting as a movie theater usher. If someone's clothes are blocking your view today, would you want them arrested or just asked to move over? 48. In the 1920s, Zephyrhills, Florida, made it illegal to walk through town in a swimsuit without a robe. This wasn't just for the sand. It applied to the whole city. Officials wanted to stop vacationers from bringing beach vibes into the business district, turning a simple walk from the ocean into a potential legal drama. Do you think a city has the right to enforce a robes-only policy for its downtown? Or should the beach aesthetic be allowed to roam free regardless of local dignity? 49. In Australia, if you're selling a piece of clothing, you have to be very careful with your marketing. It is technically illegal to claim that a garment is bulletproof unless it has been officially certified by a government-approved testing facility. While this sounds like consumer protection, it's written so strictly that even brands using tactical aesthetics have to be careful with their labels to avoid massive fines. It's a law that treats a fashion description like a life-or-death warranty. Would you trust a bulletproof jacket if it didn't have the government's official stamp? Alright, we've covered 49 points, and only one remains. But before we hit number 50, it's time for the final verdict. In our opinion, the award for the most unbelievable rule in today's list goes to the ban on fake mustaches in Alabama churches. Why? Because it forces a judge to legally measure how funny your face is based on the congregation's laughter, turning a sermon into a courtroom comedy. Do you agree with our verdict? Or did another item deserve this dubious honor? Let us know in the comments. Now, for our final entry. 50. In Columbus, Montana, double knot your sneakers before you head out. An old ordinance makes it illegal to walk down the street with your shoelaces untied. This wasn't a fashion statement. It was a legal move to stop people from tripping and suing the town for damages. It turns a simple wardrobe malfunction into a potential citation. If you were a cop, would you really feel like you were protecting and serving while telling a stranger to tie their shoes or face legal consequences? From ancient togas to modern pajama bands, it's clear your closet has always been a legal battlefield. These rules prove that throughout history, governments have been obsessed with controlling how we present ourselves to the world. It's not just about style, it's a matter of law. What piece of clothing would you wipe off the face of the earth forever? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more bizarre stories. Stay stylish and stay legal.